It will be followed by the session by Ahmed, where he will speak about risk assessments. This would take around 30 minutes, and afterwards we will go through this practical exercise where everything is going to be more clear once you put your hands on and you start trying. Finally, we will go through the conclusions, and it would be a closing remarks where you would be able to make your questions or comments. If we move on, please. So, I started without presenting myself. I am Mireia Delgado. I am business director in Preverisk. I am part of the board of directors. I am an economist specialized in public health, and I've been in Preverisk since 2 years ago. With me are joining Dr. Ahmed Karam. As you all may know already, he's our general manager in Egypt. He joined Preverisk in 2010, so he's a very expert in our house, in our company, but of course, he holds more than 25 years of experience in the areas of food safety, health and hygiene, quality management, and food safety management. He has a degree in agricultural sciences and master's degree in environmental science and agricultural sciences. So he's truly an expert in this area, and it would be an honor for us to share with you, as I was saying, our knowledge. With us is joining as well Ahmed Jamal. He is our senior consultant in Preverisk Egypt. He studied a degree in tourism, and he holds already more than 15 years of experience in the sector and in the areas of our interest. And Preverisk, our company, is an international consultancy firm. Most of you will already know about it. We provide services in terms of training, auditing, and consultancy in different areas. We want to partner you and to offer solutions in those different topics, in terms of health and hygiene, in terms of COVID management, how can we manage the hazards, how can we train you and we can certificate. We are also experts in terms of sustainability. We offer training, as I was saying, in all formats, not just about physical training, but as well, we have an e-learning solution. We offer as well services in terms of allergens and healthy eating, quality control and perception, animal well-being, and claims management. 2020, it was, as all of you already know, a very tough year. But for us, it turned to be an important year in terms of getting good chances to help and to provide the best of us to this sector that was suffering a lot. Among our achievements in this 2020, when trying to help the industry, we collaborate, as we have done in many occasions, with the Egyptian Tourism Federation, validating the COVID-19 curricula that they were offering, so that we can ensure the adequate awareness regarding which were the implemented measures that were in place for preventing COVID. As well, we created the COVID-19 Alliance, where we provide to more than 500 companies all the different protocols in all the different tourism subsectors, not just hotels, and training in terms of COVID-19. So we were able to train more than 10,000 people on how to manage and prevent this illness. Finally, we also were able to certificate in terms of implementing measures more than 400 establishments in COVID-19. We also collaborate with the Egyptian Hotel Association by certifying hotels and cruises, more than 240. We have a very close relationship with ABTA, as we were saying that we participated in this last event in June, but we were as well part of the experts committee that developed the post-pandemic recovery guidelines in order to provide those implemented measures to the travel industry and the different destinations. And finally, we also helped Cape Verde to develop a whole safe tourism program where we were able to train and to certificate all the entire touristic circuit, from airports, ports, to hotels, restaurants, all the different subsectors that we may find in the tourism. As well, we prepare a whole team of inspectors from the ministry, and we certificated them on all the achieved knowledge. So after this short introduction, please let me hand over to Dr. Ahmed Karam, and he will be starting all his presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Maria, for this fantastic presentation. And now we can continue into the main subject of our meeting today, risk assessment in the travel industry. Why we are in need to make the risk assessment for our industry? Well, to be honest with you, benefits of risk assessment are really enormous. If I may start, recognize and control the hazards. We can imagine if we cannot recognize or even identify our hazards, would it be possible for us to control them? I think it's a logical sequence. We identify the hazard, recognize the hazard, but not only in COVID-19, in all areas that can endanger the health, hygiene, security of our guests. And then once we've done this, we can start the way to control them. By doing this exercise, we are in indirect way also creating awareness in our organization, in our hotel. We also need to set the tolerance limits. What is the tolerance limits? In other words, it's like the acceptable limits. What we can accept and what we need to reject. For example, if we are measuring temperature in the freezers, we say we can accept minus 18, but we reject or we don't accept if it is, for example, minus 15 or minus 14, whatever. So it's important also to identify the acceptable limits for our hazards. How we can do this? Of course, we can do this looking at the international codes of practices, for example, like ABTA, but also to the local legislation. For example, in Egypt, we have a well-known legislation that requires that cooling down the food should not take more than 90 minutes. So this is a source of information we need to use or apply in our risk assessment. Also, by doing the risk assessment, we will be reducing the incidents, because if you can think you are not identifying your hazard, assessing them, planning the control measures, monitoring the implementation of them, then your incidents will be at top. So this is also one important benefit. Another important benefit for risk assessment is saving the cost by being proactive rather than reactive. This is very important thing, my colleagues. We need always to be proactive. It's not possible for us to wait until the problem, in this case the hazard or the non-conformity, hits us and then to start to react. By doing this, by being proactive, you are aiming to prevent the non-conformity or the problem even before it can take place. And by doing this, you will reduce huge amount of costs. Think about the costs of the claims. Think about the cost of the brand name of our hotel or our country. This is all tremendous cost. If we are proactive, if we are thinking how to prevent the problem and not to wait until the problem can take place and hits us, and then to start to react, this makes huge difference in reducing the cost. Also, very important benefit, in my opinion, for the risk assessment is that you are prioritizing your limited resources for the higher risks. Honestly speaking, we all know after about 2 years of suffering with the economic crisis, all of us, because of the COVID-19, we now, more than ever, we have all of us limited resources. So we need to prioritize. We need to group our risks into high, medium, low, and then start with the high. Because if you cover the high and you still have some little low risks, it's not a big deal. But if you start with the low risks and you don't do anything with the high risks, you can think about the problem we can have. And then the next question about the risk assessment, what are the steps I need to take to make a risk assessment for my hotel? Well, first of all, we need to identify the hazard. We need to apply all the knowledge we have. We need to have a group of people from multidisciplinary, not only hygiene, not only quality, but the rest of the heads of the departments. We need to sit down and we need to start identifying the hazards, not only in the COVID-19, not only in the food safety, not only in the Legionella, in all areas that can endanger the health and safety and security of our guests, in fire safety, in general safety, in children's safety, in gas safety, in security even, all kinds of hazards that can affect our guests, we need to include in our first step of the risk assessment, which is the hazard identification. We need also to answer and discuss between us who is affected. Why it is important to discuss this? Because we need to know that we can have some vulnerable groups in our hotel. It is not the same if I have a hotel only dedicated for adults and not including senior or older people or even children. And then this leads us to the definition of the terminology vulnerable groups or immunocompromised groups. What does it mean? It means we can classify the people based on the power, the strength of their immunity system. We have people who have stronger immunity system, but we have other people who obviously don't have the same strength of this immunity system. For example, pregnant women, they don't have good immunity system. Then we include them in the vulnerable groups. For example, people with chronic diseases like hepatitis, like diabetes, they don't have strong immunity system. So it's important to understand what kind of product I am selling. Do I have to receive children? Do I have to receive elder people, senior people? Then this for sure should be reflected in my risk assessment. And then once I have done step 1 and step 2, we can move to step number 3, which is assessing the risk. And now we started to group the different hazards. We don't call them any more hazards. We started to call them risks because now we can have high risk, medium risk, low risk. And this is the most important target of our exercise with the risk assessment. Once we have done this, we need to move to the next step, which is proposing or planning the control measures. And it's very crucial for us to apply the methodology of the root cause analysis to plan not only the corrective measures, but also the preventive measures. We have spoken in the beginning about the difference between proactive and corrective. So to be able to propose both preventive measures, it's important to analyze why a problem is a problem, why it is being repeated issue. And then you can start tackling the main reason of this problem. Is it lack of awareness, lack of training? Okay, we start with training. Is it lack of a budget or we need to buy something? Then we can do this. Is it blah, 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 blah. So this is very important thing we need to consider in planning our control measures. Have we done with this? No. Very important step, final step, reassessment. Why reassessment? Because maybe my control measure eventually it was not very applicable. I could not implement in the operation. Or maybe I could have implemented this control measure, but unfortunately it was not very effective in reducing the hazard to acceptable limits. And in this case, we need to reassess again our control measures just to make sure our control measures are effective and they can stop or reduce to acceptable limits the different risks we have analyzed. And now the question, how can I do a risk assessment for my hotel? Well, It's very easy. We have many matrices, but mainly the main idea in these matrices is that you are marrying the likelihood or possibility of a hazard with the severity of this hazard. In other words, the higher the probability a hazard can take place and the higher the severity this hazard can hit us or hit the guest, the higher the risk it would be. Honestly, there are many kinds of matrices. We have 3 by 3, 4 by 4, 5 by 5. But honestly, for me, this is not important. The important thing here is that we start to make this kind of exercise. We started to identify our hazards. We started to analyze them, to assess them, and to plan the control measures and to monitor them. Only by doing this, you have shown what we call the duty of care. What is the duty of care? If you have a claim, if you have a problem, somebody who has slipped down, somebody who had some gastroenteritis, whatever, any kind of problem related to health, hygiene, safety, and security in your hotel. Only with showing this document of the risk assessment, you have shown to your tour operator, to the third party who is asking you, that you have done your job, you have done your homework. This is very important because honestly, we cannot stop non-conformities or hazards to take place, but we need to target to limit them, to minimize them. And only by doing the risk assessment for your hotel, you have shown your duty of care. You have shown that you are aware of all kinds of hazards and you are controlling them and you are having a good system of controlling all kinds of hazards. I need also to explain here an important thing, that these kind of exercises is not rocket science, is not mathematics, it's not 1 + 1 = 2. No, we need to understand this have sort of subjectivity. What does it mean, subjectivity? It means that one can identify a particular risk like 3 risk factor, and another one can identify it with 4. Does this mean that one of them is wrong? No. But the important thing here, whoever who said it's 3 and whoever who has said it is 4, both of them, they have their justification. Why it is 3, why it is 4. So this is not really 1 + 1 = 2, as I said. This has some sort of subjectivity. But eventually, the important thing here, you are showing you are having a strong system to control all kinds of hazards. And now, please allow me to move to another area. What lines, what types of hazards I need to include in my risk assessment? Now I'm going to go briefly into the main types, in my opinion, should be the minimum to include in your risk assessment. The first type of hazards is those associated with airborne disease. From the name, it's airborne disease. It's something transmitted by inhalations, something you get via your respiratory system, not via eating, not via stomach. Examples from this category is, for example, the norovirus and also the famous COVID-19, the SARS-CoV-2. You need to think about what could be the probability to get COVID-19, for example, in a poorly ventilated meeting room or area versus having the chance to get the infection in a totally ventilated or even in a totally open air area. So this gives a chance how we are assessing the probability. We need to think what kind of severity we can have for the healthy adults with strong immunity system, as explained before, versus immunocompromised groups or vulnerable groups, what we have explained. Another type of hazards that we need to include in our risk assessments are those hazards associated with food-borne diseases. And as all of you know, this is transmitted by food and beverage. For example, Escherichia coli, Listeria, Salmonella, Botulism, Campylobacter, Vibrio, Shigella, many of pathogens. But I can confirm for all of you that 2 factors play central role here to to control all these hazards. Personal hygiene and food preparation. Both of them are really crucial to control this type of hazards. We need to think about probability of having gastroenteritis in a hotel with poor hand washing facilities. Hand washing facilities is really crucial for food safety. We need to understand that plus 90%, 95% of pathogenics, they come by fecal oral route. Think about myself. I am a food handler. I am a chef. I go to the WC. I use it and I don't wash my hands. And then I go to the garde manger and start making salad. This is very, very dangerous. So in our hotel, we need to explain to the people, to our colleagues, the importance of making the good hand washing. We need also to provide the facilities they need. We need the hand sanitizer, drying papers, the hot water, all these kinds of actions, they help us to prevent or to control the hazard associated with food-borne disease. We need also to think about probability of having severity in healthy adults versus the immunocompromised people. Yeah. Next group of hazards that we need also to include in our risk assessment are those hazards associated with water features. For example, this group of hazards, they are transmitted by water features like pools, domestic water, fountains, for example, Cryptosporidium and Legionella. And here we need to realize or understand that pool water filtration and Legionella control programs are crucial to control both of them. Think about the probability of having cryptosporidiosis with pools with inadequate filtration system. For example, for this kind of protozoa, cryptosporidiosis or Cryptosporidium, you can have chlorine concentration in the pool up to 20 ppm, and this cryptosporidiosis will be also always possible to infect your guests. The only control measure you can apply here is to have a very efficient filtration system. So this opens the door for the media I am using. When was the last time I have rechecked it or replaced it? What kind of system of back washing I am having? Are my technician people trained for how to make the right back washing? Am I using modern technologies to improve filtration system, for example, continuous flock dosing system rather than flock choke? All these questions will help you to identify the probability. You need also to think about what kind of probability I can have for legionellosis when I have what you can see here, a water pipe system similar to this one, accumulated amount, huge amount of rust. You can have as much as you wish from chlorine shops, but I can assure you the Legionella will be hidden under all these big layer of rust, so it will not help us. Legionella is not only about chlorine shocks every 3 or 4 months. It's about daily program. It's about weekly, about monthly program. It's about awareness of the technician. We need also to think about severity of legionellosis with older people. Disease can be killing a person or making him or her to lose a life. We need to think about this while assessing the severity. Do I have elder people in my hotel or it's only adults, for example? We need to think about severity of cryptosporidiosis with the children. This can be killing also for the children. So all this can help us to identify the severity. Another type of hazards that I recommend you to include in your risk assessment is those hazards associated with safety in general. Examples: fires, falls from balconies, slips, trips and falls, drawing. All these kind of safety-related hazards we need to include in our risk assessment. And this is very, very good for our risk assessment, because think about this kind of methodology. You can integrate all kinds of hazards. It's not only food safety, it's fire safety, it's general safety. It's security even in the future, as we will see now. So this is very important for us. Probability, we need to think about probability of having a fire in a wooden building with significant fire load in a hot region. Can you see? Probability should be top here. We need to think also about probability and the severity of slips, trips, and falls. This is what we call high probability, low impact. People sometimes they say, okay, what will happen if I slip down or my guest can have something in his road and make him to fall on the ground? He or she will not die. Yes, it's true, they will not die. But think about the frequency of having this. What do I mean by this? I mean, think about the frequency of having claims and the compensations. And think about the cost of handling all the claims due to slippery ground. The people are falling, hitting their hands or legs. And remember, cost of compensation, it's not only the cost you are paying to compensate about the claim. It's about your time handling all these emails during over months and maybe years sometimes. It's about your brand name. If, la qaddar Allah, big problem and the media is putting pressure on your brand name, think about the cost in this case. And this is the beauty of the risk assessment. It's not only about the severity, it's about severity and the probability. Think also about severity of having suction cover not adequately fixed in a children pool. You can have a children losing her life or his life in few minutes because of this. And now, please allow me to pass the word to my colleague, Dr. Ahmed Karam, who is going to explain you this last type of hazards where we believe you need to include in your risk assessment. To you, my colleague, Dr. Ahmed. Well, I think Ahmed might have some problems with the connection. So if you allow me, I'm going to cover this part myself without any problems. And for this last type of hazards, which is the security, we need to understand, we need to provide safe and secure environment for our clients when they are visiting our hotels. And here you can...
Thank you, Dr. Karam.
Yeah. And here you can see mainly two types of hazards in the area of the security: high probability, low impact, and low probability, high impact. Low probability, high impact, you have huge impact, like terrorism, like a bomb, like political social unrest. This is kind of hazards of the security. They don't tend to happen frequently. But if some of them has happened, unfortunately, they don't only affect the hotel, they can affect the whole destination. We have all seen the huge impact on our business, at least in Sharm el-Sheikh, when the Russian from Russia has fallen. So it's very important to understand something very simple, but it's very important. When I am securing the safety in my hotel, I am not only protecting my hotel, I am protecting the brand name of my destination, of my whole country. This is very important thing. And other type of high probability, low impact that can also affect the security in our system is the theft, drunk, cultural conflicts, missing person, fraud, harassment, like sexual harassment, corruption. All these kinds of hazards, they can have high probability but low impact. Also, something I wanted to explain for you here, I think it's important to consider while making the security part, and it's not only for Egypt, by the way, but for the whole world, that of course, after the COVID-19 and increasing the problems with job finding and with employment, we need to understand not only in Egypt, all over the world, criminal rate is increasing. And you need to think, you need to have a security system stronger than ever. And now we can move to the next part of today's meeting, where we will have really simple, I have prepared for you very simple exercise, because I can talk hours and hours, but I think the important thing is to see something that you can apply. So here you can see in this screen, this is a very simple, by the way, exercise for making risk assessment. You can see here 3x3 matrix, and you can see here I have listed for you some different hazards, not many, but in different areas. And now together we can make this exercise if you agree to participate. Because we can do this in a live. When I did it in ABTA, we had to break the people into rooms. But now, given that we have about 100 or more participants, it's impossible to do this in rooms. So we decide now to do it in live. So we are going to do this together. We are going to go hazard by hazard, identify the severity, probability, and then you will get automatically the risk factor. And then now we will, next step, we will start to think about the control measures and about the deadline, because you need to have a deadline for your control measure. Obviously, if you have a high risk hazard, you need to have a more close, a more short deadline. If you have a low risk, it's not important to have some time to make the control measure implemented. And also what you will see here in this example I have prepared for you is the budget, because we also wanted to be realistic. We know that we have limited budget, and that's why, if you remember, one of the main benefits of this exercise is that you prioritize your limited resources to the higher risks. And then here, for example, for fantasy, we put about 100,000 euro, can be 100,000 Egyptian pound, it doesn't matter, but we want to consider the money, the resources in our consideration during making this kind of exercise. And then the last step, obviously, you will have to reassess again, as we have discussed it before, to challenge or to assess the effectiveness of your control measures. And now, if you allow me, I wanted to invite Dr. Ahmed Karam. You can open your mic if you wish, and we can invite some, maybe 3 or 5 people from the volunteers who wanted to participate with us. So if you wish to participate, please, you can kindly raise your hand, and then we will open the mic one by one, and then to start to discuss in public, in live. So that I think this is a good chance for all of us to practice this important exercise. So I see here from the raised hands, I see Dr. Hatem al-Naggar. I ask my colleague, Christina, can you open the mic? And if he wishes the camera also, whatever he wishes, for Dr. Hatem. Good morning, Dr. Hatem, can you hear me? Dr. Hatem, maybe you have some issue with your sound system.
Yes, Javier.
Hello, hello, Dr. Ahmed.
Okay, I think Christina just open your mic. Thank you, Christina.
Hello, Dr. Ahmed.
Okay, Dr. Hatem, thank you for being brave and to be the first one to participate in this exercise. Please, if you can present yourself, and then we can do this in live in front of the people to see how we can do this important exercise. So if you can start with presenting yourself, Dr. Hatem.
Yeah, my name is Hatem al-Naggar, and I'm from Egypt. I work as a quality and hygiene manager at Baron Palace Sahel Hashish in Hurghada, Egypt. I'd like to thank you, Dr. Ahmed, for letting me to participate in this important webinar. And also I'd like to thank you for the collaboration between Preverisk and our hotel, because we have been working and succeeding together for about 3 years now. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your participation, Dr. Hatem. So, Dr. Hatem, look, my colleagues, what I'm going to do right now, live in front of all of you with Dr. Hatem, is an example of what you can do internally with the rest of your colleagues. So, Dr. Hatem, I have prepared for you here a list of hazards in different areas, as you can see, what we have just explained. And the first one of this is that some of the staff members are not wearing face masks. And obviously, this hazard is belonging to the area of COVID-19. So what do you think can be the severity and the probability for this hazard?
Yeah, I see that the severity in this case is considered very high. Okay, so we can give it a score of 3.
Yeah.
Because actually it's of a great risk because of the spread of COVID-19 among all
it can be killing for some people. I agree with you.
Sure. Yeah. And for the probability here, it could be we could give it 2. It could be moderate because some of the staff members are not wearing the face mask.
It's very intelligent that you notice that the word some because this is very important, because if it was all of the stuff, then probability will be very high. But if it is 1 or 2 or some few number of stuff, then it will be obviously much less. Yes, I totally agree with you. And then now we see the risk factor is automatically calculated like 3 times 2 equals 6, and giving the same background of Brown, which is in this case, we are talking about more or less a medium risk category. And Dr. Hatem, in this case, what kind of control measures you might think about this?
Here we need to know about the root cause of this problem. We need to know why some of the staff members are not wearing the face mask. So if we don't have enough face mask, we can purchase more to be available for all the staff to be used. Also, it's very important to make like awareness or training sessions for all the staff to know about the importance of wearing the face mask.
What Dr. Hatem is telling. So now you talk about awareness and the training for the staff.
Yes, we can purchase or provide more masks if we don't have enough in stock. And then later we can ensure that
more face masks, because obviously this can be one of the reasons. If we don't have enough face masks, then obviously not everybody will be putting the face masks. Yeah.
And after that, we need to make sure that the control measures that we applied are in place, so we can make internal audits to make sure that
this is very good point, Dr. Hatem. Please let me highlight it. So what you are telling me now, you are going to identify how to verify this implementation of the control measure. Fantastic. And would you like to have these audits like announce it or not announce it?
I prefer to be unannounced.
Okay, very good. I think it will help you more like this. Fantastic. Yeah. And what kind of deadline you think you can put for these control measures?
It could be for 1 month.
1 month. Let me explain here. If this risk was high risk, I wouldn't accept or agree with Dr. Hatem. But since it is not a high risk, then we don't talk about days or something very soon, very immediate. So I think it's reasonable to give it enough time to apply all these control measures. Okay, and budgets, you wanted to provide some estimation, how much you want to spend for this?
We could spend 4,000 Egyptian pounds or 4,000 euros.
Okay, no problems. Let us say 4,000 or 5,000, more or less. Okay, fantastic. And then let us make reassessment, yes? So now, with the reassessment, I need to explain for you. The severity is not going to be changing. And that's why in this prepared example, it's automatically taking what you have identified in the first time, which in this case 3. But remember, control measures, it's about mainly the probability. Why? Because when you are applying the control measures, you are either stopping completely or reducing the chances that this hazard can take place. So now, Dr. Hatem, you think once we have done this, how much could the probability?
Yeah, after the control measures that we will apply, the probability will decrease. So it will be low. We can give it 1.
Okay, thank you very much. If you have 1 and you had used to have 2 before, so congratulations, because now your control measures have reduced the risk factor from 6 to 3. Fantastic. And we move to the next hazard. Dr. Gamal, if you go to the left a little bit, yeah, the bus. Let us skip this one because I wanted to give some chance for other areas of risks. So obviously the bus has got poor ventilation with windows closed at all times, and not everybody is wearing face mask. Again, this is about COVID-19, but this is just an example. We don't have to do everything. Let us move to number 3, please. So in this case, a slight lack of some of the best control aids in the food dry store. This should be a mistake. It's not fire safety, it's a hazard, or it's a food safety. So what could be the severity in this case, Dr. Hatem?
In this case, it could be moderate. We can give it 2.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe 2 or 1. Don't you agree with me? Because, because you know, when you have lack of some of the best control aids in the food dry store, maybe you still have some chance to correct for this in a different step in the operation, right?
Yes, totally right.
So it can be 1 or 2, and please, this is part of the subjectivity. Dr. Hatem is correct, myself is correct, but we need to open our mind to accept or tolerate a certain part of differences. And what kind of probability you can put here, Dr. Hatem?
I can put 1 for the probability.
Exactly, because again, it's a slight lack. And now you see the word slight is underlined. And that's why, that's how we can assess the probability. Yeah, in this exercise. So it's now, it's like 1. And now you like 1 times 1, it's like 1 risk factor eventually. So obviously this is very low risk in this case. What kind of control measure, Dr. Hatem, you can apply here?
Well, we need to ensure that we have complete pest control aids in the place, in the food dry store, to close this point. And later, we need to make sure that the control measures are applied. So we also need to make regular inspections or audits for compliance.
Exactly, I totally agree with you. And what could be the deadline for this low risk?
For this, could be 30 days.
Yeah,
a month.
Okay. No hurries, as long as it's not a high risk. But for a high risk, it's difficult to live with the high risk like 30 days.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Let us take the next one. I can read it for you. 1 out of 4 central hot water boilers is not achieving minimum required level. And obviously, this is about Legionella. Yeah?
Yes.
So what kind of severity and the probability you think here, Dr. Hatem?
I see that the severity here is high. We can give it 3.
Yes, exactly. In particular, my colleague, if you have elder people, senior people in your guest. Yeah.
Yes, and for the probability, it could be moderate. We can give it 2.
Yeah, because remember, it's not all your 4 boilers are out of order. It's only 1 out of 4. Exactly. And the control measures?
We can make like corrective maintenance actions and to verify that the temperature are achieving the required levels to be able to close this point.
Okay, yes, I agree with you. And what can be the deadline in this case?
1 month.
Okay, I see you always like 1 month. I promise you in 1 month's time, you have a lot of work to be done.
Yeah, just to close all the points together in 1 month.
Fantastic, fantastic. Okay, let us move to the next one. In some of the gardens, there is no caution sign, which is like grass is treated with recycled water. Obviously, this is like a hygiene or recycling, water recycling. So what kind of severity and probability?
For the severity, it could be moderate. I can give it 2.
Yeah.
And the probability low, 1.
Okay, fantastic. And the control measures?
Yeah, for the control measures, we have to supply the caution signs, okay, as a means of communication. And it should be in different languages.
Which language, Dr. Hatim, you can use here?
Yeah, actually, I will place it in different languages to facilitate the communication and to be understood by the different guys who speak different languages, okay, based on the nationality and so on, so that we ensure that our message will be clear to all.
Exactly, it's very important. If I have Russian guests, I need to provide message in Russian. If I have Egyptian guests, I have to provide message in Arabic. Also, we can think about pictograms. Everybody from all the world can understand the pictograms. And for the time, is it 1 month?
It will be 2 weeks because I think it will be easy. Yes, 2 weeks because it's easy for it to be applied.
Okay, perfect. 2 weeks time. That's fantastic. Okay, Dr. Hatim, I see a lot of people want to participate. If you don't mind, can you give a chance for another volunteer?
With pleasure.
See, for example, Mrs. Mehtab. If we can open the mic for Mrs. Mehtab.
Hello.
Hello, Ms. Mehtab. Thanks for participation and for being brave. Please, can you introduce yourself in the beginning?
Okay, I am Mehtab. I am joining from Turkey, and I'm a food engineer.
Okay, thank you very much for participation in the webinar and for participation in this exercise. So, Ms. Mehtab, the plan of emergency evacuation is not providing enough attention to disabled person. Obviously, this is fire safety related hazard. What do you think about probability and severity in this case?
I think severity is very high. It should be high. Let's say it's 3.
Why you think it's very high, Ms. Mehtab?
Because if we don't mind disabled persons in the evacuation plan, it will be very dangerous for them. They don't able to move to the
and escape. Exactly.
Yes,
because you need to think about disabled people with difficulties to move in a quick time. So I totally agree with you. This can make a life losing his life or her life. And probability?
We can say 2 for it, because maybe disabled people, some of disabled people can move, and we can give some responsibilities to our staff caring about disabled person.
Fantastic. So you start now talking about the control measures. So the first point is to train our staff and to assign some of the staff to help people with particular disability if we have a fire incident, right?
Yes.
And what else you think?
We can take some measures in the exits for the disabled persons. To go.
Exactly, I understand.
To go outside easily.
Yes. Yes.
And
just
as I said before, we can give some responsibilities to our some staff to care about them.
Yeah, exactly. If I understand you right, you talk now about the infrastructure of the hotel. You need to allocate, in case you have some disabled guests, in room close to the exit of the emergency exit. You need to have a ramp.
Yes.
For example, if people cannot walk, and then they can use this ramp to get out as quick as possible, right?
Yes, and for this we should prepare a plan, and we can share it with our staff also.
Yeah, so again, it's about awareness with our colleagues in the hotel. Yeah,
Yes.
fantastic. How long you wanted to have these control measures to be done?
I think 2 or 3 weeks or at least 1 month is enough for it.
Okay, so 3-4 weeks, more or less.
Yes.
Okay, and how much money you wanted to spend for these control measures?
I think it's not cost so much. Maybe 1,000 euro is enough
Okay.
for the measures.
Okay, so for you, 1,000 euro is not so much, Ms. Mehtab.
Not as much as the masks. That's why I say it.
Fantastic. Okay, and now let us reassess this same risk after you have applied your control measures. So I understand severity will be the same. What do you think about probability now, Ms. Mehtab?
So it will decrease for sure. We can
Yeah.
take it 1.
Yeah, okay.
So we decrease the risk.
Very good. Okay, fantastic. Let us move to the next hazard. A hot water boiler is placed in main restaurant without a caution sign hot surface. And this is obviously is general safety. So what kind of severity and the probability you can have here?
I guess we can say 1 for the severity, because I guess it will be even there is no sign, it will be a protected place. They will put it in a protected place.
You will not die. You will not die if you touch a hot water boiler, no?
Yes. Yes.
Exactly. So it's 1 for severity and probability.
It's same. Yes.
Yeah. So this is very low risk. 1 times 1. Fantastic. Control measures.
Of course, we should put a sign to inform the guests not touching about it.
Yeah, very easy. Caution signs. It's very simple.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if it is possible to reach the surface, we can replace it to another place.
Okay.
Further than the guest.
Exactly. Or maybe another type which is not causing any burns if touched by mistake, for example. Yeah. How long you wanted to give time for this?
I think at least 1 week. I don't know. It's maybe 2 or 3 days is also enough.
Think about it's very low risk, so you can have more time if you wish. Okay, next one is the hotel. In the hotel, slippery wet surfaces in busy areas are observed without caution signs. So this is again, I think here we have some shift about the types. This is general safety, obviously. So what probability and severity?
We can take 2 for both of them.
Yeah.
And corrective actions, we can purchase some more caution signs. And the other important point is to train housekeeping staff to use the signs properly.
Yeah, exactly. Training for the housekeeping, use the caution signs. If we don't have, we need to buy some. Exactly.
Yes, we can improve the awareness about it.
Yeah.
So it will take again at least 1 month, maybe earlier, 3 weeks is enough.
Okay, very good. I think maybe it's enough for this. I would like to thank you very much, Mrs. Mehtab and Dr. Hatem, for your contribution. The target here, the objective is not to have an exhaustive risk assessment, but the objective of this part of the meeting is to show you an example for the steps, how we can do it, what kind of discussions quality and hygiene can have with the colleagues in the hotel, with the rest of the heads of the departments. And now, if you allow me, maybe we can open the floor for the questions, because we still have about 20 minutes. I think we are going very well with the agenda. But if you allow me, and before moving to this step, I would like to announce we have here as part of our audience, Mrs. Heba Bakri. She is a board member of the Egyptian Tourism Federation, and we acknowledge her participation in this event. And I wanted to ask my colleagues from Spain to open the mic for Ms. Heba, just in case she wants to tell something.
Hello, everybody. I think she can do it now.
Thank you very much.
Yes, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Delgado. Thank you very much, Dr. Karam. It's been a pleasure to be with you today. In fact, I also assisted your workshop on June 16th with ABTA. And exactly. I was very thrilled. So I'm really very happy to see that you are sharing it today with our hospitality industry. And I think all hoteliers today from all over the world as well, if I can see the international audience is attending. I think it's a beautiful thing, so that we can share this knowledge and to see, it's a reminder that we are all what we are all going through for the past 18 months or 24 months. So I really appreciate it very much, especially that today the training is no more really only the physical one, but also more webinars of those are exactly what our industry is needing. And please, to all my colleagues today of the hotel industry, please stay tuned. The Egyptian Federation is doing something very important, and we'll be launching it soon, together also with the Egyptian Hotel Association, as well as with the Egyptian Travel Agents Association. I think it will help the whole industry. Thank you very much for allowing me to participate today, and it is a great honor to really have this reminder of all new information we were going through. Thank you. The floor is yours, Dr. Karam.
Thank you very much, Ms. Heba. Actually, Preverisk and the Egyptian Tourism Federation and the Egyptian Hotel Association are three of us working very hard to provide all needed know-how support for our colleagues in the hotels of Egypt. We always have the pleasure, Ms. Heba, to share our knowledge with our colleagues from Egypt. And we always wanted to participate with you and with Egyptian Hotel Association with all activities, all initiatives that can eventually help our colleagues to improve in health, hygiene, safety, and security. Thank you very much, Ms. Heba. And now, if somebody has a question, you remember you can use the chat or you can raise your hand. And Mrs. Cristina, my colleague in Spain, will help me in case we have some question in the chat or received by email some questions. Miss Cristina, to you.
Hello, there are some hands raised up, so I don't know if they want to ask something or is just they put it before. I don't know. For example, Anis. I will open.
Mr. Anis Ayman. Yes, Mr. Anis Ayman.
Yes.
Can you open the mic for him, for the gentleman?
Yes, the mic is open. Okay, maybe we can try with another person.
I see from Mr. Hassan Ataya. Or Ms. Christina, if you have some question in the chat during my presentation.
Yes, I have some of them. Okay, we are going to try with the questions.
Okay. Yeah.
First one, why it is important for the hotels to realize a risk assessment?
Sorry, what is the question?
Why it is important for the hotels to realize a risk assessment?
Yeah, why it is important for the hotels to make this exercise? Yeah, first of all, I would say, can we be able to provide strong health and safety system without being aware about the potential hazards in all different areas we briefly have explained today? I think you share with me that the answer is not possible. You need first to know, to identify all kinds of hazards and to assess them, and then to move to the control measures, and then to implement them, and then to reassess them again. By doing all these steps, the first benefit, you are providing a very safe environment for all your guests. And remember, very, very important benefit you are getting from this. Once you document, because remember, you need to document all these kind of discussions, exercises. For example, the example we have done right now with the Excel, you need to document all this. And once you have documented this in the future with the return of the external tourist, if you have some claim for some guest, you will be in a very good position to defend yourself. It's what I explained in my presentation with the terminology, duty of care. This is very important terminology. In particular, courts in UK, they always look for this duty of care. Have you done your job? Have you done your homework as a hotel? Or you never thought about any potential hazards and you did not do anything absolutely? Because we need to agree about these hazards and risks, non-conformities. They will never disappear. But the only thing we try to do is to minimize, is to reduce the chances, but also to demonstrate we have done our homework, we have discussed, we have proposed, we have spent from our budget to provide the control measures, to implement them, to provide a safe and secure and hygienic environment for our customers, for our guests. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
I see Ms. Christina, Mr. Anwar Hindi. He has a raised.
I see Hassan. Maybe we can try with it. No,
yeah.
not right
I
now.
see you have many questions and raised hands. Yes.
Oh, okay. No. Okay, another one. EAM from Saraya Palms, for example. I'm gonna open the mic. You can talk now, please. Hello. Okay, we try with Anwar. Okay. Deshabilita el micro. Hi, hello.
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 Hi, sir. How are you?
Hello, Dr. Ahmed. How are you?
Hi, sir. How are you?
Thank you very much for allowing me to attend this good presentation. And
It's with pleasure. It's with pleasure.
Actually, it's not a question; it's a request, please.
Yes.
I saw your very valuable sheet, what you present for the risk assessment. So, is it possible if these sheets like this can be sent to us via our mails?
Yeah.
It will help us very much to
exactly. Yes. Yes.
So
yes.
I really appreciate if it could be sent to via emails to us.
Yeah. Thank you very much for
your participation.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your participation. Yes, exactly. That's why we are recording this session from the first moment. And the plan is that all the people who have registered with us, who have managed to stay, and those who could not manage to come eventually, but at least has registered with Preverisk. The plan is that my colleague in Spain, Mrs. Cristina, will send you a link. We are going to upload this recording, not only voice and visual. And my colleagues in Spain, they are going to upload it into YouTube channel of Preverisk Group. And then we are going to email for all of you, those who managed to come and those who at least have registered, but for some reason could not come. We are going to email during the course of the following few days. We are going to email for you the clip, the recorded video clip, sound and visual with all the slides, with everything. We are going to send this by email. And a part of this, I myself, as the manager of Preverisk Egypt, I'm very happy to collaborate and to provide my best support to all my colleagues in Egypt. So please, you yourself or anybody who has stayed with us during today's meeting, please feel warm welcome to contact me about of this at any time, should I can be of any further help. Thank you, sir. To you, Christina, do we have more questions?
Yes, we have one here. How often we have to update the risk assessment?
Yeah, that's a very good question. This, it's very important to understand that this risk assessment is not valid for a lifetime. It's not valid for 10 years. Normally, we recommend the hotels to update it and to verify it at least once or twice a year. It means every 6 months or every 1 year at least. But in case you have any major changes in your operation, for example, you decided to add a new restaurant or a new kitchen or a new pool or a water park to your operation, then in this case, you cannot wait 6 months or 1 year. In this case, my recommendation to you is to immediately or even before introducing the change into your operation to assess this change, to assess what kind of hazards, extra hazards I can have on the time, in the moment I decide to have this new restaurant or this new pool or this new children aqua park, whatever it is. So the advice here, not to wait 6 months or 1 year, but to be proactive, as we agreed in the presentation in the beginning, proactive rather than reactive. Then in this case, you need to be proactive to assess the associated hazard with the change you are planning to do and also to propose the control measures along with this change. By doing this, before introducing the change to your operation, you are somehow going in the right track and making sure this change is not going to introduce new hazards you are not aware about, you are not controlling. Yeah, I don't know if you have more questions, Miss Christina.
Yes, we are going to try with Hassan again because he wants to participate, but...
Mr. Hassan Ali, can we open the mic for Mr. Hassan?
Yes, it's already open. He has to activate it.
Yeah, Mr. Hassan, you need to activate the mic.
Hello.
Hi, Mr. Hassan, how are you?
Good evening. My name is Hassan. I'm Hassan Ataya. I'm the general manager of the Sunrise Holidays Resort, Hurghada. And I have
warm welcome, Mr. Hassan.
Thank you, sir. And I would like to thank you, and thank all my colleagues and participants.
Thank you very much.
What if all the staff and all the hotel members are vaccinated? Are required also that they are wearing masks or not?
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Hassan. Actually, the question from Mr. Hassan is really good question. Let me repeat it in a more loud voice so that all our colleagues can hear it. So I understand, Mr. Hassan, you are asking me if we are vaccinated, all the hotel staff, do we still have to put face masks? Is that the question?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. Yes, as I said, this is very good question. I am very happy to receive it. Okay, yes, my answer is yes and yes and yes. Why? You will tell me, Dr. Ahmed, why then we are vaccinated? Okay, remember, to achieve your target, you need to have different control measures. It's not enough to be vaccinated and then to forget about wearing the face masks or washing the hands or following all the other precautions. Think about something. What is the effectiveness of the vaccine we have just received? There is no vaccine with 100 effectiveness. You always have a gap. You always have a chance. Even if it is 90 something or 80 something, you don't have 100% effectiveness for the vaccine. So this is one point we need to consider. So the power of the vaccine doesn't matter. You will always have a chance to still get the infection. The only thing, Mr. Hassan, when you get the infection while you are vaccinated, the severity of the symptoms will not be as much as high if you caught the infection without being vaccinated. But remember, the vaccine will not prevent the virus to move your body. It will help your immunity system to recognize the virus and to attack it in a more easy way. That's the only thing the vaccine it will do. The vaccine is not like a capsule that will prevent any virus to reach to you. No, the vaccine is giving a training for your immunity system how to defend your body, how to beat the virus. But you will still be possible to get the virus. And you will still be possible to be carrier for the virus and passing it to the rest of the people. And that's why we need to explain to our colleagues, it doesn't matter if we are vaccinated or not. We are vaccinated to help our immunity system to better defend our body. But it doesn't mean we need to forget about all the other control measures we need to take. Did I answer your question, Mr. Hassan?
Yes, sir, clearly. Another question which is coming from the clients, right?
Yeah.
You know that we receive the clients with all PCR test or proof of vaccine, right? But we have some of other clients were phobiatic, and they ask why not the clients are wearing masks, right? So
yeah. So let me
answer.
Let me verify if I understand you. So the question, and by the way, this is the last question to respect the time of our meeting. So the question, Mr. Hassan, that sometimes you receive question from some of the clients why some other clients are not wearing face masks. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
We provide in the rooms, all areas, free masks for everyone.
Exactly. That's the point. Because my recommendation here is always our job as a hotelier, because hospitality, we have somehow some limitation. Maybe for our staff we have the power and we can guarantee that every particular staff at all the times will be wearing a face mask. But for some of the clients, for some of the tourists, maybe it's not an easy job to give orders or instructions for the clients. So in this case, my recommendation to the hotels is to put awareness signs about importance of wearing the face masks everywhere. And also what you said, sir, to make it free, accessible, offered to all kinds of guests at all the times. And only by doing this, you are in indirect way, in a polite way, asking your guest to put the face mask. And eventually, if some of the clients insist not to put the face mask, we need to be realistic, because we all work in hospitality and we know we will have somehow some limits. But at least from our side as hoteliers, we can provide awareness instructions in understandable language for the language of the guest. We can also offer it everywhere for free of charge. And by doing this, we can also ask in a polite way, if possible, sir, this is for your protection and protection of the other guests in-house. If you agree, you can put your face mask. Just asking in a very gentle way, in a very polite way, I think will not damage the relation with the guest. Yeah. Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Hassan. And in this time, I need to close the session to respect the time agreed. Thank you very much. Please stay with touch with Preverisk, with myself, with my colleague, Dr. Ahmed Jamal. We are always happy to collaborate with you and to provide you with our best know-how. Thank you very much. And during the following days, you will get an email with the link about the recording for all this session. Thanks once more, and we see you shortly. Thank you. Bye-bye.